Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Great to have you here with me today. We're going to be talking about a lot. Could winter be making a comeback for areas of the Midwest, Great Lakes, into the Northeast and New England? We'll take a look at all the details for you, and we're going to be looking at the tropics, the Caribbean, Central America, all the Caribbean islands. But one thing in particular, what is this out here by Bermuda over the next couple days? Is this something that could go subtropical, and will it affect any areas of the tropics here? We'll also take a look at the rest of your tropical weather update here as we continue through the next couple of weeks. Let's get into it. And we're going to explore what could be happening late Thursday night and Friday across parts of the east. What is this? This almost looks like a little nor'easter here in the making, and there could be some heavy wet snow on the backside for interior Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and upstate New York. So we're starting off with our future radar here. We're looking at the winter composite here. Pretty clear back east as we head on into your Wednesday morning, but here it is out in the plains. This is where we're going to see that big, almost like blizzard conditions at times wrapping up here across the central and northern plains up through the upper Midwest. And there is going to be a severe weather component here on the east side as well, so we'll watch for that. But you look at that, the snow making its way all the way down into parts of Missouri here, Wisconsin, the northern part of Michigan, and then pulling up towards much of Michigan throughout the day on Thursday. So this is 10 a.m. on Thursday. You can see that rain snow line pushing right through Cleveland around 5, 6, 7 p.m. on Thursday, and then through Erie and Pittsburgh by 8 and 9 p.m. So yeah, you can see what's going to be happening here into the Northeast as well. All the way down the Appalachians, we have some wet snowflakes that's going to be falling, and I'll show you those snowfall amounts momentarily, but there it is. It's rain on the east side of this system. So for your Wednesday, this is where the severe weather is going to be. You can see slight risk right around Chicago, Indianapolis, these areas, and then a marginal risk here into the green zone. So let's take a look at that area that's going to be severe thunderstorms as we head throughout your Wednesday. It really gets cranking after 4 p.m. here. Eastern part of Missouri, just around St. Louis, pushing right through Bloomington here, and then Chicago area right around 7, 8, 9 p.m. here, that pushing eastward. But this right here, you can see this is right around 4 to 8 p.m. here across Illinois. That's where the bullseye is going to be. These storms do make it farther to the east and western Ohio by 1 a.m. on early Thursday morning. But you can see it's more of a broken line as the instability is just not there. You know, it's nocturnal, so, you know, you lose the daytime heating. And at this point, it looks like Ohio is going to be missing out on any major convective activity for the most part. Now, 4 p.m. on Thursday afternoon, you can see we get a little bit of a convective flare-up here across eastern Pennsylvania, I-81 corridor, all the way up to Binghamton and Syracuse, Scranton, Philadelphia area. So watch out. Some of this could be some heavy rain, gusty winds moving in with this line of convection out to Long Island as well. All right, so let's look at our GFS here, and then I'll show you the European run. So there is our system moving through as we get into Thursday and into Friday. Now, this is what I wanted to show you. Look at this here on the GFS, and I'll show you what it looks like on the Euro. GFS going crazy with this 5 a.m. on Friday morning. Look at this, a heavy snow band lining up along the I-81 corridor of eastern Pennsylvania through upstate New York, Catskills, Poconos, with some heavy snowfall rates here. We'll have to watch at 8 a.m. just after the sun rises. Look at this, pulling that snow towards New Jersey and the Hudson Valley. Have a feeling this is definitely going to be very elevation dependent once the sun comes up as well, as usually does. But during the dark, it starts to switch over around 2 a.m. around Binghamton, Towanda, Pennsylvania, down to Harrisburg. So we'll have to watch this. This is something we got to keep a very close watch on. And that pivots the snow towards northern New England in particular here and towards New Brunswick. So there it is, the next system rounding the bend just in time for Saturday. It looks like mostly all rain with a few snowflakes mixing in into Saturday afternoon here. So we'll have to watch out. Adirondacks, Catskills here, White and Green Mountains, maybe a few more wet accumulations of snow. Now, the next system here, the 23rd, wrapping up across the Midwest, Michigan, more snow for you over through Wisconsin. Definitely not feeling like spring here as we get into next week. Now, look at that, the overrunning warm front here. It starts out as snow, and then changes over to rain. Now look at that. We could be getting accumulating snow across upstate New York, parts of New England here, especially Boston there, before changing over to rain. And on the back side, this is where we get the snow showers. The lake effect bands kicking in from Cleveland to Buffalo around the 25th into the 26th. And then we start to get this little system across the Appalachians. We could be looking at more snow all the way down into the southern Appalachians here. This little flare up here, we'll have to keep an eye on. It tries to go for some snow in Philadelphia and New York City, crazy as it is, and then blows up towards parts of Nova Scotia here. So if that does end up being further west, we could be looking at another nor'easter type system. And look at this for the 27th. Heavy snow breaking out around Cleveland and Pittsburgh through Harrisburg. Yeah, this is crazy. Now that it's going to be spring, this is what we have to deal with here. There's a lot of factors feeding into this, and I'm going to go over, especially as we get into the upper air pattern and the polar vortex, because the NAO and the MJO are not telling the whole story here. Look at this. Across parts of the interior northeast, we get this next system really lining up with some heavy snow across the Ohio Valley into parts of the mid-Atlantic. There's our last frame there on the GFS. Let's take a look at the Euro. So taking a look at our European model, let's see if it's holding true with our Friday system. I do want to show you this just briefly. Look at this. Even though the mesoscale model did not bring that convective elements into Ohio, the European here is. There's some, convection firing. It does get weaker early Thursday morning, but then look at western Pennsylvania, western New York. That squall line fires back up, so we could see some strong to severe thunderstorms. Maybe a few isolated gusts. It's not going to be a widespread event. And then you start to see that system. There it is. So Friday. It's there on the Euro, but it's not as pronounced. You do start to see Catskills and Poconos and Adirondack snow here, but it doesn't seem to really make it down to the valley floor. So the GFS and the Euro are still disagreeing a little bit on the system, but you see it's a very similar track. So the Euro is a tad bit weaker as well. So we'll keep an eye on it. It does start to strengthen it here towards Friday afternoon. Some heavy wet snow here into New England. So that's a development we'll keep an eye on. There's that next clipper moving in. And we get another severe weather outbreak here, just like the GFS was indicating here. So we'll have to watch out for that as we head early next week. Now look at this system that moves into the northeast. You have this secondary low across the Great Lakes, and then it tries to transfer some energy to the coast. It's not very successful, though. You kind of see there's a little bit of a low in there, but you get the idea. We're going to have a very busy weather pattern, and there is that troughiness really showing up here. You can really see it just in time for springtime here. So, you knew it was coming. This happens every year. It gets warm before the first day of spring, and then after spring, first day of spring, it gets cold again. Now look at this. This next system right around the 29th, 30th, into the 31st, it's a bit interesting. It's a little bit more elongated than the GFS, a little bit weaker. So we'll keep an eye on it here, but several areas of low pressure riding further to the south here with big severe weather outbreaks. But one thing that it is agreeing with the GFS on is the northern fringe of this could be some heavy wet snow across the mid-Atlantic. And look at this. This would be a massive severe weather outbreak for parts of the south. So we'll keep an eye on it. And look at this. April 1st, April Fool's Day. Look at this. A nor'easter for parts of the mid-Atlantic and the northeast. Look at this. This is craziness. This is something that you would see normally in the middle of winter and even into maybe early March. This is early April, and look at this. Showing a massive nor'easter across the northeast with heavy wet snow accumulations inland. Craziness. All right, so here we go with snowfall accumulations on our European run. You can see, the Euro is not very impressive with our Friday morning system here, mainly into northern New England where the white and green mountains are into northern Maine. Understandably so. It's hard to get snow accumulation this time of year, but if the GFS does verify, I'll show you the GFS amounts momentarily. Look at Tuesday of next week. Another big snowstorm here for central and northern New England. We just start to pile on the snow. Look at parts of Ohio getting some snow right around Thursday of next week. And then look at this as we continue through Monday the 31st. Watch out. Watch what the European model starts to do here, this would be crazy to get these kind of snowfall accumulations. And if I just back this up just a little bit, what the model is doing here is it's showing Wednesday night into early Thursday. This would be more, if it lines up just in the overnight hours, this is the kind of accumulations we could be looking at with that deeper, colder air. Let me zoom in on it here for you. This is insane. Not to say we're going to get these accumulations, but it's like, where has this been all winter? And now all of a sudden, it's popping up for the 1st and 2nd of April. Now, I wanted to show you the GFS run here. Let's take a look. There's that big snow up here in the Midwest and the plains. Crazy amounts here, 6 to 12, maybe locally higher there in the darker purple. Now, here it is into the Northeast. This would be mainly an elevation event, I would think, on Thursday night and Friday, although some of these valley locations could get hit with advisory criteria as well. Look at this. The purple zones are that 6, 8, 10-inch amounts, darker purple, understandably into the Catskills here, closer to a foot. So we'll keep an eye on it here. It's something interesting to watch. But as we just go further out here, this takes us through the 26th. Now, if we can go a little bit further out here, watch our system right around the 31st into the... Yeah, the GFS doesn't go insane with snowfall amounts. It mainly gives the snowbelt areas, northern Ohio, these areas, some snowfall accumulation. So it's not quite over yet, but we'll watch the Euro versus the GFS as time goes on here. So let's take a look at your rainfall amounts here. Liquid equivalent. This is what we're looking at. So we'll just take this through... Yeah, we'll take it all the way through the weekend here. Here it is across the east. Maybe getting some beneficial rain here across New Jersey. Let's keep our fingers crossed here because you've been getting missed on a lot of storms, upwards of 1, 2, maybe 3 inches locally higher. We'll see. But look at this. By the 30th into the 31st, that big storm system, much of you across the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley into the Northeast, look at that red shading. That is 2 to 3.5 inches with some yellow areas closer to 4 inches. And here we go. We take a look at the European run here. There it is all the way through the weekend. Lighter amounts here on the Euro run. Not going as stormy. There's the backside where a lot of that snowfall will be in severe weather around Chicago. So yeah, we're averaging about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch on average here into the darker blues. And then look at the purples right around 1 to 1.5 inches. Now, if we go further out into next week and through the end of the month, you can see the storm track. We're producing a lot of moisture here. Look at that. You can see where the storm track's going to lie across the Ohio Valley, all the way through the mid-Atlantic here into southern New England. So let's take a look at our upper air pattern here. It's really interesting because this week we see that raging inferno firecracker ridge replaced with these series of troughs. We'll have to watch that Friday trough, maybe that nor'easter spin up. Look at Saturday too behind it, just pushing that ridge off the coast, and we just get one right after another, just now that it's time to become spring. Look at this. We get these cold troughs. Now, we do get some ridging towards the 29th, but watch what happens here. We dig this massive storm along the East Coast. This is that one I was showing you that could go major nor'easter on us. All right, so let's take a look at the GFS. It's very similar here. One right after another. Once we get to Thursday, Friday, into next week, Tuesday. There's next Tuesday, the 26th. Really going crazy with this trough as we head through the 27th, 28th. That lifting out. Now watch this. Here's the 1st of April. Not looking as impressive as it on the European, though. We'll keep an eye on it. GFS kind of hinting that maybe this ridge might try to push a little bit farther to the east. And the NAO index here, yeah, we're actually going to be going... This is really odd because it's been negative all this time. It's been warm across the east. Now we're actually going to go towards neutral and eventually positive when we're going to start getting these series of potential winter storms and colder air. Kind of strange, wouldn't you say? Now, it's not all about the NAO index, and I understand that, the MJO index. This really plays into our stormy cards. Now, this is also really strange, because look at, we're right about here in phase 3. We're entering quieter times, according to the MJO, and look at this. We're heading towards 4 and 5 over the next couple weeks, which is even quieter. So with the NAO going positive and the MJO going into really quiet phases like 3, 4, 5, and eventually 6, what is going on here? This is really bizarre. Let's take a look at the polar vortex to understand this. So here we go. There's more to it than the MJO, NAO. Let's look at our polar vortex. Now look at this. Wednesday, March 19th, you see these colder colors. There is some cells that are breaking off. Here's the polar vortex all the way over in Europe. There's some cells breaking off here and flooding across eastern North America. You can see that kind of retreat through March 21st. Now watch what starts to happen again. Look at northeastern part of North America. This is really starting to show up. So it's really bizarre. The NAO is not lining up. The MJO is not. But the polar vortex has its own plans here. Now look at this. We get a little piece of it. This is right around March 25th. Now watch as we progress throughout the month here, towards the end of the month. This is about as far out as we can go at the moment. But look at this. You can see the surge across the North Atlantic. Let's see if we can actually go a little bit farther here on the previous run. Here it is, right around 28th, 29th. This is really starting to show up here. This is what I wanted to show you, because this actually is proof now that we're going to have that trend of pushing pieces of the polar vortex southward, especially into eastern North America. And we just continue through this, the 31st and the 1st. We get these little pieces, and look at how the cell is slowly moving towards, if I can get my pencil here, towards northeast North America. Just in time for April. And before we continue, and don't forget, if you made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. Let's continue. All right, so here we are with the Caribbean, Central America. Now, let's go up here just a tad. Look at what's going on up here around Bermuda. We have a double area of low pressure. It's just pinwheeling around on itself through the 19th. One good thing is we don't have too much going on through the Caribbean. Look at Jamaica and Dominican Republic, Haiti, all the way through the Bahamas, Florida, Cancun. With the exception for northern Honduras here, you got some showers. But look at this up here. This is a big old mess. Poor Bermuda is getting buffeted here with lots of gale force winds, lots of major showers and storms out here. And it just looks eerily subtropical in nature here. We'll have to keep an eye on it. This is really weird for this time of year. But you can see all the way through the 20th into the 21st. Look at this. This big broad area of low pressure finally gets pushed off to the east by an east coast trough. Now look at this. We're all clear all the way through the 21st and 22nd for the most part. We get this flare up from Colombia. I'll show you on the European momentarily. It does show up on this as well. But through the 22nd and the 23rd, we do start to get that moisture moving towards Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and eventually Nicaragua and Honduras. Now, you got a couple dry days up here from Cancun down to Honduras. Watch as we get into the 23rd and 24th. The axis of this heaviest shower activity is going to be right across this region. Belize, Honduras, Jamaica, Dominican Republic. Yeah, watch this. 23rd, 24th. Let's just zoom in just a tad here. You see, even through the Lesser Antilles, Barbados area, Grenada, you're getting some shower and thunder shower action. Looking even down towards Trinidad, Tobago here towards the 25th. Some heavier showers moving in here. And you get some storms moving across the Gulf here. These might try to make it into the Northwest Caribbean and eventually the Bahamas here. But here we go through the 26th into the 27th. You see this moisture from Colombia moving right up through Central America here towards Honduras and Belize as well. Jamaica, you have some drier periods here, but that last week of March here is definitely going to be wetter than it is this week. You can see those showers developing from Dominican Republic, Haiti on the 27th here, all the way over to Honduras. We get through the 28th here, and those showers just continuing to develop here across the Dominican Republic. Look at that. For our last frame, things are tropical tidbits here for our European model analysis. This is that area of low pressure. Now, look at how we start here. It's pretty quiet through much of the Caribbean, with the exception for the Lesser Antilles through here, eastern Nicaragua, northern Honduras, where you could have some shower action. But look at Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Bahamas. You're all clear all the way up through Florida here. Now, look at this low pressure system. It's just kind of pinwheeling essentially on itself. It's a massive comma shaped here. And it's just going to kind of cut off here. That's kind of what it's doing. It's resembling a cutoff low, but strangely and oddly enough, it looks subtropical at times. So we'll have to keep an eye on it here. Thankfully, it does stay really far to the north and northeast of the Caribbean islands. Unfortunately, Bermuda, you're going to be battered here by gale force winds and the whole 9 yards up here. So you're off for some stormy times. But here we go. We start to get towards Friday into Saturday. See this moisture across Colombia? It's going to start to flare up towards Costa Rica, Panama, and eventually Nicaragua and Honduras. And we're going to start to get a little bit of a boundary here through northern Honduras, southern Belize, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, and north of Puerto Rico here. So watch that just flare up through Sunday into Monday. Look at this storm system drop across the Gulf here. That thunderstorm complex making it into the northwest Caribbean, sparking off some showers here across the north central Caribbean, Jamaica, through Dominican Republic. Looks like for the most part, through Thursday into Friday of next week, through March 28th, you see where the focus is of this rainfall, right through this axis, right through here. So if you're under that line, that's where you're going to see these showers just really pop up every day. You can see every single day, especially with the diurnal heating in the afternoon and early evening. You get these, look at March 30th, Honduras, Belize, all the way through Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, these areas. Look at even the Lesser Antilles getting in on the act here. Showers just cropping up across these regions. So this is taking us into April. And look at this, the tail end of this front actually reaching parts of Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and eventually Dominican Republic and Haiti. Sea surface temperature analysis, this just mind boggles me this far out from hurricane season. Or, roughly under 80 days at this point. But look at the Western Atlantic through the Caribbean and Gulf. We're running that 1.5 to 3 degrees above average. So taking a look at the Caribbean here, Central America, let's look at our rainfall totals, at least through the weekend here. You can see Jamaica, Cayman Islands, pretty dry through Dominican Republic. It's the north coast of Honduras here, upwards of 40, 50 millimeters here. Now watch what happens as we get into next week. Yeah, things really moisten up along this axis again, from parts of southern Belize, northern Honduras, all the way through Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. So yeah, this is going to be a much drier week for you, but next week is the week things really start to moisten up here. I think some of your areas here in Jamaica, look at these, some of these 50, 60, 70, close to 90 millimeters in some of these locations. So yeah, it looks pretty evenly distributed across the island. Dominican Republic as well. You could be looking at 40 to as much as 70 millimeters. Puerto Rico, right around 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, closer to an inch in some areas. Northern coast of Honduras through southern Belize. Some of these areas you could get up towards 90 to 100 millimeters here. And getting to the Eastern Caribbean here, yeah, things look pretty well evenly distributed across the Lesser Antilles. Down through Trinidad and Tobago, I think most of you will see 45 to as much as 80 millimeters here. So watch out. Virgin Islands, there's a little bit of a rain hole here for you. Not more than, say, 20 millimeters, but all this rain up towards Bermuda, that is with our storm that really eerily represents, or at least looks like, something subtropical. Very strange for this time of year. All right, so let's take a look at our Canadian weather outlook here. We're going to be looking at a major surge of moisture both on the west coast, British Columbia, and through Ontario and northern Quebec. Look at this as we head through Thursday into Friday here. We're going to be looking at a surge of massive snowfall totals here up towards maybe some areas getting 20 centimeters plus here. There is that system from the United States. Look at that, pushing up through northern New England, eventually New Brunswick. Another system rounding the bend. So New Brunswick, you could be getting some major heavy snow as we get into the weekend here. Saturday on the backside of this massive low-pressure system towards Prince Edward Island, and eventually the Canadian Maritimes is going severely negatively tilted. Here is another system that's going to be rounding the bend. Southern Ontario, you could get into this on the 24th into the 25th next week. Look at that heavy snow breaking out across New Brunswick, even parts of Nova Scotia with this one, and towards Newfoundland. Now look at, we do start to get quiet right around the 25th, 26th. It's not going to last though. Look at what we have here. Another nor'easter type storm blasting through Nova Scotia. You could be piling up the snow here now that it's time for it to be spring, all the way up through New Brunswick and all the way up into the Canadian Maritimes. Look at another big bomb here. West Coast just continuing to get pelted with storm after storm all the way through the 28th here. Snowfall amounts here for Canada. If we can get the right product there we go. Look at this. So yeah, central eastern Ontario to northern Quebec, parts of New Brunswick, West Coast. These areas, winter is not over yet. It's crazy how much snow we could be looking at, even down into the United States here. But these darker purples are close to that 25, 30, 40 centimeters in some areas. If we just zoom in a little bit, look at parts of New Brunswick here as well. That's crazy. Some of these darker purple zones. Parts of eastern Ontario, Quebec, all the way to the West Coast, British Columbia. So let's take a look at our high temperatures here. It's going to be a big disparity here as we head to the east. Look at all these 70s, even some 60s up here in parts of the Ohio Valley, but it's mostly 70s. Look at that, 77 Wednesday in Pittsburgh here, 71 in Cleveland. Look at these 70s all the way into the northeast as well. But watch that Thursday. We start to get that colder air plummeting, cooler air, I should say, 50s all the way down into the deep south here. Look at one more warmer day into the northeast, and then watch this for Friday. Little bit of reality here, but it's short-lived because look at the 50s pushing back up through the Ohio Valley. 70s and 80s building across the southern plains here as we head into Saturday, March 22nd here. We get another cold spell up here across the northern Midwest. Now look at this. Warm is going to be pushing back up here. And if we take a look at your Sunday, March 23rd here, you can see things start to even out. We have 50s in the middle here, 40s to the north, 60s and 70s, and even some 80s there across Texas. And look at this for your Monday. Yeah, it's a little cool around the lakes, but it usually is this time of year. 50s and even near 60 in Pittsburgh. Look at this across the south, though, all the way through the Carolinas, southwestward here into the 70s. The extended forecast from our hometown viewers bringing it into this Grand Source, Susquehanna, River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. Look at this. Wednesday, we'll get up towards the lower 70s, increasing clouds. Wind gusts, watch out. There is a fire watch out. Humidity down to 20 to 30%. Wind gusts over 30 miles an hour. That rain moves in on Thursday. Early high near 60, winds gusting over 30 once again. Probably about a third of an inch on average of rainfall. Into Thursday night, it may end as a period of wet snow. On the backside, we could be looking at maybe 1 to 2 inches. We'll have to keep an eye out with locally higher east of Interstate 81, especially in the Poconos and Catskills. As we get into Friday afternoon, we break out the sun towards the mid-40s into Saturday, the 50s, and into Sunday, we get a little bit of a cool down once again, lower 40s. And before we continue with more weather coverage, check out these amazing, awesome maps from my affiliate here. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, super thanks. You can smash that super thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks everyone, share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.